The proposed alliance between the Labour Party and the new Nigeria People's Party, the NNPP, may not come to fruition so soon. This is due to a disagreement on who should emerge as the presidential candidate and who is to be the running mate between the two leaders of the two parties. Dr. Rabiu Kwankwaso of NNPP and Mr. Peter Obi of the Labour Party. Kwankwaso, a former governor of Kano State and a presidential candidate of the NNPP, says the electorate in the North won't vote for Peter Obi should the latter be a candidate for the proposed NNPP-LP alliance for the 2023 general elections. Kwankwaso also disclosed that the alleged closeness of Obi, a former governor of Anambra State, to a chieftain of the People's Democratic Party is frustrating the negotiations of the NNPP and the LP alliance. Arise analyst Waziri Adio joins us now to discuss how the disagreement between the two parties could affect the conclusion of talks to pave the way for the third force being touted as a political group to wrest power away from the All Progressives Congress, APC, and the People's Democratic Party, PDP, in the next election season. Thank you so much for joining us on Newsday. Good to have you with us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Okay, so from the reading of my introduction and knowing the political situation as it stands between Kwankwaso and Peter Obi, what could be the fallout if neither party is able to come to an agreement on who will be whose vice president?
Well, that is straightforward. That means there will be an alliance in whatever form. Each party will stake its claim at the polls, and they have opportunity to state their strengths. Both parties hypothetically have some strengths now, but the strengths will not be proven until they actually go to the polls. That's when we know how they will perform. Apart from that, though, there's still some time. They have 7-8 months to put things together. Politics is the art of the possible. So you never say never. Even when all the things that people are saying, those are things that can be resolved. The only bother for me is that, yes, people will have concerns on both sides, but those are things that they should be saying themselves at the negotiation table, not in the open, not in a way that people will not be hearing themselves, or it will be as if you are throwing accusations, back and forth, or you are trying to demean, the other party. But they have time. And also, we also need to bear in mind that it's usually difficult to come together when you have two different parties. And our history is replete with examples of that. In the Second Republic, 4 political parties wanted to come together to challenge the ruling National Party of Nigeria. They were trying to form the Progressive Parties Alliance, PPA, between 1982 and 1983. That didn't work. Also, in 2011, both ACN and CPC were trying to put something together. It also didn't work until later came together. So there are only 2 occasions in our history, or maybe 3, where parties successfully came together to form alliances. We saw one in 1998-99, because there was a consensus that power should go to the South. So you had the AD, the Alliance for Democracy, and APP coming together and fielding a candidate from the Southwest, which was the AD candidate. So we had that. That was successful. AD and APP came together. They ran on the ticket of AD, but they didn't win the election. Also in 2015, but what we had in 2015 was not an alliance per se. A new party was formed. If you remember, 3 parties, CPC, ACN, some part of ANPP, and some part of APGA came together. But they had time. They formed the party. They had time to go through the process They formed the party in 2013, and they had 2 years to put their acts together before they got into to election in 2015. So I think it's too late to have a merger, to have a completely new party. But politics is the art of the possible. Like I said, anything is possible. They can still work something out. If they are not able to work anything out, they face the poll, and we'll actually see the actual strength of each of the two leading candidates that could be seen as the third and the fourth force in our politics for now.
All right. Is this just about a third or a fourth force? Now, taking a cursory look at both parties and their strengths, the convergence together, is it strong enough to make the desired impact to get a ticket or to get someone into the State House come 2023? Look at it closely. Do they have what it takes if they come together?
Okay. There's a part there. There's a reasonable part there in which the two parties can come together and be greater than the sum of their parts, right? Mr. Peter Obi, of course, has some bounce now. He has some support, and he also has the. He appears as the arrowhead of the aspiration of the Southeast to have a shot at the presidency. So you can say Labour Party, because Labour Party is not a new party. It has been there for some time. And even when Labour Party says, oh, we're the parties of the workers and all of that, yes, they've been the party of the workers, but we have not seen any significant, impact by Labour Party until now. So you can see that, Mr. Obi has injected, some verve into Labour Party. And also you see somebody like Kwankwaso who formed a brand new party, and that party is already shaking up some things. So can each of them realistically get the presidency at the first shot? I don't think so. Would they stand a better chance if they come together? Yes. And also, it's not just that when they come together, they also signal that, this is a possibility. And those who are likely disgruntled in PDP and APC might also join them. So if they're actually able to put it together, there's a path to the State House there that you can see. There's a viable path. It doesn't mean that it's automatic. It doesn't mean that they will get it. But that path, that is stronger path than if they go by themselves. Mr. Kwankwaso Dr. Kwankwaso is very popular in some parts of the north. Kano is his base, but it's not just Kano. You remember the Kwankwasia movement even before he formed the NNPP. So he's a force of nature by himself, right? He has the Kwankwasia movement. They are strong in Kano, by extension in Jigawa, also in Bauchi and some other places. So, and he's going to hit into the strength of both PDP and APC in the north, both in the northwest and to some extent in the northeast. So, Mr. Obi is popular in the southeast and, some other parts of the north, also some other parts of the south, right? The youth population, those who want change, those who are dissatisfied with APC and PDP and all of that. But that's largely in the south. It doesn't have as much presence in the north. So if you have, people who, by virtue of their own stature, they command, such support both in the north and the south, if they're able to come together, that would inspire others to see that, this is actually possible, and we can also, partner with them to see how we can unseat the status quo. So it is possible, but they have to work at it, and to work at it, if already somebody is saying, I'm senior to this person, this person should be my vice. The other person is saying, no, you are the one that should be my vice. If you have two strong people who see themselves as the persons that should be the president, right? There's a possibility that working together will be a problem. And so that's also something that, they need to work on to see, will this work? Are you going to have a joint presidency, or do you want to have the normal president-vice president kind of relationship? And if you have two strong candidates, who think they deserve the position more than the other, what does that mean? Does that mean that you are going to have a very tempestuous, combustible presidency? You know, so it's in as much as it signals hope. There's also some things. There's also some red flags that you can see already.
And you brought up some really good points in that last answer. Speaking of two very strong personalities trying to work under one bracket and the amount of turmoil or chaos that could ensue as a result of that, we were being told that that might have been one of the reasons why Atiku Abubakar did not pick Nyesom Wike to be his running mate, knowing that both of them are quite strong personality-wise, and maybe Okoa might be easier to work with. But I'm deviating a little bit to see if they do team up together. That is Peter Obi, the celebrity from the South, for lack of better words, someone who's very popular in the South, and Kwankwaso, who is a celebrity to the North, quite popular in his own right. If they do team up and put their differences aside and are able to work together, would this be enough to unseat Atiku Abubakar and Ifeanyi Okowa of the PDP? And on the APC side, Tinubu and the question mark for the VP, how do you think that the APC will respond in such a situation where the two team up?
It will make the race more interesting. You know, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar is from the Northeast, right? So, you know, and Tinubu is from the Southwest. We don't know where the candidate of the alliance will come from. So either from the Southeast or from the Northwest, right? But if you have somebody combining, if you have a ticket combining Southeast and Northwest, that's a formidable ticket, right? And it's going to be a very interesting proposition for both APC and PDP. So don't also forget that the stronghold of the PDP used to be Southeast and South-South. So if Peter Obi is on the ticket, so you can say Southeast or the bulk of Southeast is gone, right? You know, and you know, the stronghold, one of the strongholds of APC is the Northwest. If Kwankwaso is on the ticket, you can also say, you know, that stronghold is also in play, right? So you are going to have, if you have three strong tickets, for once we might have an election that is quite competitive, or the most competitive in this Fourth Republic. The last time we had a really competitive election in our experiment with presidential system of government was in 1979. Where, you know, the candidate that eventually won or that was declared the winner won in 7 states. The person that came second won in 5 states. And the person that came third won in 3 states. And the candidate that scored the least had 10% of the votes. At that time, we had five political parties, you know. So, you know, it might be a really competitive election. And another possibility is that we might have an election that will go into runoff. One of the issues in contention in 1979 was, what does the spread, the plurality of votes, what does it mean in terms of having, not just securing the highest number of votes, but also having at least a quarter of the votes in 2/3 of the states. In 1979, we had 19 states. Before the election, the consensus was that 2/3 of 19 will be 13, right? But the issue went to court, and President Shehu Shagari was able to score 2/3 only in 12 states, not in 13 states. And Chief Obafemi Awolowo took the case all the way to the Supreme Court, and the issue in contention was to see whether, you know, that threshold was met. The Supreme Court ruled that President Shehu Shagari met the threshold, which is that it secured 2/3 in 12 states and 2/3 in 20% of the 13 states. Of course, that is so. But what will have happened that time is that we will have had a runoff, right? So if you have a situation where APC wins in the Southwest, maybe.
All right. I do want to say that's the much you can actually take. Thank you very much for stopping by here on Newsday.